Welcome back to Astro Buzz on HollywoodAstrology.tv and the Leo King app on iPhone and Android. I am your host, astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, and this is where we combine all the stories in the press, the celebrity, the gossip, whatever's going on in the politics, and combine it all with the astrology and the cosmos that's happening right now in our lives. And today is June the 17th of 2016, and we got a lot going on right now. Let's start with a celebrity relationship story first. Taylor Swift. That's right, Taylor Swift is swifting away into another relationship. And you know, she is a Sagittarius, if you didn't know. This is not crazy to me. This is actually right on target. If you look at the astrology, we've had a lot of planets in Gemini. We had the Sun and Venus, which Venus rules relationships, literally just due its rare conjunction to the Sun. And literally, Venus has now moved from the morning star to the evening star. So we've all gone through a very powerful shift when we look at relationships in our life. And even our relationships are all changing right now over this last 2.5-week cycle. And it's interesting because she's a Sagittarius that this is all about relationships. But it's more interesting if you look at her chart. She has Venus in Aquarius. Venus in Aquarius, people like lots of people, but what's interesting about Venus in Aquarius is like when they're gone, they're gone. They kind of turn their back. They're very good at disconnecting. So Calvin Harris, the guy she left, he's like talking all about how he can't believe she moved on so fast. Well, number one, Calvin Harris, he's a Capricorn, okay? Capricorn guys are really traditional, really old school, and it's interesting he's a DJ. He really is not very edgy. He's kind of very traditional in his aspects, kind of an old man too. He's got a very late birthday, January 17th, which means he's an older energy Capricorn, kind of we call it the crusty side of the zodiac. He's kind of got this old man mentality, and I think she got bored with him, to be honest. Even though he's a DJ, maybe he looks like he's got all this energy. Calvin Harris, as a Capricorn, and if you look at his chart, he's much more traditional, much more old. He doesn't have a lot of spark and energy. The guy that she's going for is Tom Hiddleston. He's an Aquarius. He's exciting. He's got a lot more like spark to him in his energy. I also read that I think he's going to be the next Bond, if I'm right. I hope I'm right. You know, sometimes I don't even know some of these stories because there's so many of all these people coming around. But through my research, really interesting to see that she made the switch. She's got a moon and Jupiter in Cancer. This means that she just has huge emotions and she cares so much about people, but she has the ability to leave fast. And I think that it's really hard, especially for Calvin Harris, because here's his Capricorn, he's got this stable relationship, and then boom, she's a Sagittarius, she wants a new adventure, she's got Venus in Aquarius, she's ready to go, and she invested all of her energy, all of her love. She probably took care of him. She probably was like literally feeding him chicken noodle soup in the morning and stuff. Like moon and Cancer people do that. They love to nourish, love to take care of their lovers. But she's just gone. She has Mars in Scorpio as well, and Mars is retrograding over her Mars right now. And guess what? She is much more sexual, much more primal than you realize. Taylor Swift, surprised she didn't get into porn. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, the truth is, you never know. Anyway, she's going through major transits right now with her sexual drive and really getting deep into there. But more important than that, she's trying to figure out who she really wants to identify with in herself and the kind of relationship she wants to identify with. And I think she's making a big decision for herself and which way she wants to go. I think she wants to steer clear of kind of the traditional kind of dude that she's been with. And you know what's funny is even though he's a DJ, he's not what you traditionally would think of a DJ. He's kind of the boring DJ. And now I'm not talking about his music or anything. I'm just saying when it comes to that stuff. Now let's move to politics, and what's going on right now in the government here in America is gun control laws. And I thought that I would do this more like a history segment to kind of like help people understand what's going on in the astrology. But first, before we do the history, let's look at today. Right now, we've had this Senator Chris Murphy. He's a Leo, by the way. He's a Democrat. He filibustered on the floor of the Senate, basically standing for 15 hours and saying, we need to change gun laws. And, you know, that's very hard to do. Standing up for 15 hours is a big deal. But, you know, Leos can do it. Trust me. If a Leo puts his heart into it, he will go all the way. So I kind of respect this guy for doing what he's wanting to do. But what's interesting in the astrology right now is Saturn is exactly squaring Neptune. Saturn rules the rules, it rules laws, it rules government, and it's in Sagittarius about beliefs. Neptune, which is squaring it, is in its home sign of really confusion and dissolving things. So we're at a time where we are unsure of where the rules are going to go. We are unsure of how the rules are going to actually be changed. There is this also aspect of where the rules are being all dissolved right now. And so this is a time where rules, laws, structures are all being, kind of blown away basically, or kind of like really being watered down and changed very radically and very, strong. Mercury's in Gemini right now. There's a lot of intense conversations happening really fast, and things are happening faster than the speed of light. So it's like, let's change gun control laws. Let's do it now. Let's go on the floor. And it's like things are happening so fast, it's like you can't even keep up with it. Now, to do some history and where we're at right now in the astrology, the last time Neptune was in this space was in the early 1850s. It was like 1852, 1853, and when this was around, what's interesting is we had Uncle Tom's, the book Uncle Tom, I can't believe I forgot the rest of the name. But anyway, segregation was the #1 issue in America exactly the last time that Neptune was in Pisces at this degree, literally at 11 and 12 degrees right here. And so this is an intense time because in America, it's coming back to segregation, whether you want to call it segregation of religions right now or segregations on beliefs with gun stuff. This is a belief war going on right now in our country. And it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, you got to realize that you're in the war, and picking sides is not easy. You almost feel like you're caught between places. This is a time for us to really, pay attention to what's compassionate and learn to be compassionate and realize other people have other views. But, trying to kind of find a way to meet in the middle is not easy right now. And this is a time where things are just way too all over the place, way too crazy, and segregation is a huge issue. Right now, with Neptune and Pisces, I don't know what it is. It creates segregation. And it's so interesting that we always see in astrology, Neptune and Pisces always is about the one and about beautiful and spirituality. I've seen more segregation because what happened in 1853, which brought all the way up into the 1860s when Neptune left Pisces and went into Aries, was the Civil War. And this is around the time, literally the last time Neptune was in Pisces, that the South was starting to get weird and starting to get ready to secede from the Union. They were starting to build up the plans. So there's a lot of things to pay attention to right now in the astrology from the past, and do your history. And anytime we have Saturn-Neptune squares, especially with what's going on with Mercury, this is a time where trying to understand things is not easy. And I want to say that goes a lot with what's been going on in Orlando, because there's so much that's so misunderstood from the other side. Pisces rules the other side, and we're trying to understand and get a grip and try and figure it all out with Mercury in Gemini, with all this energy in Gemini, and with Sun, Venus. There's all these questions. Everything is floating around in the air, and nobody has an answer. And so you have to see that this is a time where everything is scattered. And there's even more things to talk about that are being scattered and crazy and weird as we come back on another segment of Astro Buzz. See you in a second. Want the most inspiring, fun, and dynamic horoscopes delivered to your phone every day? And we do it all on video with text message notifications. Download and subscribe to the Leo King app now and wake up to astrology like you've never seen before. Welcome back to Astro Buzz on HollywoodAstrology.tv and the Leo King app on iPhone and Android. I'm your host, David Palmer, the Leo King, your astrologer of the stars, looking at all the stories. And the next celebrity story we got is Scott Disick from Keeping Up with the Kardashians. He's ready to peace out and leave. Now, these next two celebrity stories are actually very weird, and they're Gemini stories. If you didn't know, Scott Disick, he's a Gemini. And I think it's very interesting. Geminis and Sagittariuses are all over the news right now. Whether it was Johnny Depp last week, he's a Gemini. Whether it's Taylor Swift, which we talked about in an earlier segment, she's a Sagittarius. This is where 2 full moons are happening this month, from June and May, right? 2 full moons in Sagittarius and Gemini. Very rare to have 2 full moons in the same energies in the same month, because usually we only have it in one area. So this is a very intense time for Geminis. But coming back to Scott Disick, it's interesting that he's deciding to leave. If you look at his chart, he was born with a full moon in Sagittarius. This is a month where we are having 2 full moons in Sagittarius. He was born with the full moon with Jupiter and Uranus conjunct, which means he emotionally has always gone too far, always gone too big. He's also Sun conjunct Mars, so he's he just pushes into things too fast and now with Saturn in this space, he's finally learning how to control his craziness, believe it or not. And I think that this is a good time for him, even though I think it's very emotionally difficult for him. He's going into a very deep kind of hard hole, I would say, but it's good for him. I think he's learning how to emotionally use his powerful energy. Believe it or not, this guy has got extreme amount of energy. He's got an extreme amount of passion, and it's like top bar. He's got like triple turbochargers in this guy's soul. The only issue with him is he has Venus at 18 degrees Cancer, which is so funny that last week Elizabeth Warren, she's got Venus at 18 degrees Cancer. So watch Elizabeth Warren and watch Scott Disick. They're both Geminis. They both have Mars in Gemini. They both have the Sun in Gemini. They're both kind of pushers and push really hard and over push. He doesn't have Mercury there, though, on top of Mars like Elizabeth Warren. I call her the barking dog. He is more of the let's push and make all the emotions go way too far and too crazy, and let's push the limits. He's a limit pusher. His issue, though, with Venus at 18 degree Cancer is relationships are coming to an end with him. Pluto's getting ready to square his Venus at the end of this year and into next year. He's already had Uranus been squaring his Venus for the last 2 years. He's been having to kind of change and redefine what relationships are, and his emotions are really getting the grip of him here. Him leaving, I think, is him ready to go find a new emotional place as he's learning to control his breaking the rules and breaking the limits. And, you know, I think this will be kind of a good change for him. I think you're going to see a totally different guy in the world come out over the next year as he leaves maybe this whole Kardashian thing. I don't think he'll leave it forever, but I think you're going to realize that this guy is going to be more in the press in a different way in the years to come and kind of emerge himself as a different person as he's going through a real big, powerful, transformational, emotional process that I think will actually make him better and actually bring a better person out there into the world. And another crazy, weird Gemini story. These two are not Geminis, though. These are identical twins, though. And I think this is a good way to end the season of Gemini that we're in right now because it's all about twins. Have you guys heard of Lucy and Anna? They're these two identical twins who've got $200,000 worth of plastic surgery to look even more identical. They even share the same boyfriend. What's even more interesting to me about these two is they have Sun and Mars conjunct. So I kind of like to see the reoccurring themes. These two will do anything to get what they want. Whenever you see Sun and Mars people, they'll do anything. They'll do anything. They'll go anywhere. They'll push it to the limit. They'll drive hard. You know, they kind of act before they think. They are both Cancers, though, which is kind of interesting. They're both born July 19th, 1985. And these two have the most unique Venus alignment, especially as twins that I've seen. They have Venus in Gemini, which means already they're very twinsy with relationships. And they're very kind of, I'll be honest, Venus and Gemini people are extremely flirty, quirky, and a little bit, I don't want to call it risque, but you know, Venus and Gemini people definitely have like some weird little things going on with relationships. They're not traditional, they're not normal, they kind of like it a little edgy and different and exciting. And they've got opposed Uranus exactly. They like weird relationship situations. So for them, it goes with them. The only issue with them is Saturn is going to pass over this spot at the end of this year. So you're going to see these two, whether they come back or not. I don't know if this is just like a random story, but you know, Saturn's coming to teach them a lesson with relationships, and they have a weird thing. They've got Jupiter trine Venus as well. They'll go as far as they can with their vanity. They'll go as far as they can with their money. They'll go as far as they can with their relationships. And with Uranus in the middle, they just are like extreme to the limit too. They're kind of like Scott Disick's as women, but they're Cancers. They're very emotionally needing comfort in themselves. And they're near the end of Cancer, and they have Uranus squaring them now. So they're really kind of going through this really weird, and it's not really working for them right. I'll be honest, these two kind of tripped me out. Like, I already get a little bit tripped out in Alice in Wonderland over the twins that are in there, you know, that the two that talk all funny. Those two guys always worry me a little bit. These two really got me weird. They even talk or finish each other's sentences like in the same way. They've got Mercury square Saturn. They really don't know how to, I think, communicate their identities well and communicate their life very well. And I think that's been part of their issue, is that they have this like extreme need and want of vanity and power and creation, yet they don't know how to communicate it right, and it's all kind of come out like weird and wrong. I mean, that's my opinion. Whoever else is out there, who knows? But the guy, I can't find the boyfriend's birthday. I mean, I guess you could say it's a guy's dream to have or hook up with twins. I mean, you can't, every guy's thought about it. These two twins though, no, I'm sorry. I just don't think so. And with Cancers, they're really right now with Pluto in their opposite sign, like obsessive with relationship stuff. It's kind of interesting to see this story though, because these two are going to come into a lot of confrontation with this relationship and with their own plastic surgery stuff by the end of this year. So watch out for these two coming back into the news, maybe about the relationship or maybe something going wrong with taking it too far or too extreme, especially with this plastic surgery. These two aren't coming out next. Next thing you're going to know, they're going to be getting ass implants in their cheeks or something crazy like that. Anyways, we have one more story when we come back on Astro Buzz. Don't go nowhere. Want the most inspiring, fun, and dynamic horoscopes delivered to your phone every day? And we do it all on video with text message notifications. Download and subscribe to the Leo King app now and wake up to astrology like you've never seen before. Welcome back to Astro Buzz on HollywoodAstrology.tv and the Leo King app on iPhone and Android. I am your host, astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, and my final story today is during the last 8 years of Obama's presidency, he has tensured, which means he has made literally the most flags at half staff. Now, I thought that was sad. And it has nothing to do with Obama. It has everything to just do with the times we're in and what's been going on. He's ordered the flag to be at half staff more. In the last 8 years, if you look at the astrology, with Pluto and Uranus that was squaring, which was a major transit from 2012 to 2015, which made you feel like a neurotic freak and that your whole life was being shocked and crazy over the last 3-4 years, okay? Saturn was in Scorpio. Then, of course, we went through the Saturn opposed Jupiter, and now we went through Saturn square Jupiter. The last 8 years really has been very difficult, and I'd say the last 5 years, and I think that most of the flags at half staff actually came over the last 4 or 5 years. Plus, you know, with everything that just happened in Orlando, you know, there's been so much that has happened that's very confusing, and I think that I want to let everybody know that this last 8 years, and let's actually just back it up from 2012 to now, has been about a very powerful change in the universe as it's changing its operating system. Think of the universe like a computer. It's been switched from Windows to Mac or Mac to Windows, however you want to look at it. And it's not easy moving the files and moving all the things over. And this has been a time that has been very difficult for all of us as human beings and souls and what we're going through. And if you take all the stories that we looked at today, whether it's Taylor Swift and how she's making swift moves, and if you look at her chart and that's just how she is, and that's okay. Or if you're looking at gun control and a passionate Leo out there in the floor for 15 hours to make it done, but even at a time where, you know what, there's segregation stuff that's going on that's bringing back stuff from the Civil War time, that's what's going on. Or Scott Disick, who's finally in his life reached a place where he's got to control his crazy, powerful energy and use it to harness right while he goes through an emotional hardship time in his relationship world. That's what's going on. Or two identical twins who will do anything to get whatever they want for vanity or relationships in weird ways that we all don't understand and show up weird, but that's who they are to make themselves feel comfortable. And that's what's how beautiful the uniqueness of life is. We're in a world where we have to accept this new world and accept this crazy world that we live in. But you know what? At the end of the day, I wouldn't have it any other way. Prayers out to everybody in Orlando, all the way from every story that happened in the last week. Prayers to you and your family. Thank you so much for joining this week's Astro Buzz. Can't wait to see you on the next one. Make sure you follow me, the Leo King, on Instagram at the Leo Kingdom, Snapchat, DJ David Palmer. Follow me on my apps at the Leo King app, which is at theleokingapp.com, or on the iPhone or Android store. And of course, you can find me on Facebook, the Leo King or David Lawrence Palmer. Thank you so much for all the support. I truly appreciate it, and I will see you on the next Astro Buzz on HollywoodAstrology.tv.